Would I recommend this book? Not to everyone. This book was heavy. This book was it was a lot. Obviously, it's a lot, and it was also a lot to read. I remember I watched a review, and some of the person was talking about how they feel like the author genuinely had it out for Jude because why? Actually, why must one character go through it? He went through every like once the book gets the part where his abuse starts, the abuse does not stop till he meets his friends, like till he leaves that chapter of his life and he meets his friends, and then as an adult he gets abused again, and it's like, so like what's up? And then he um he kills himself, which of course, like after you read the book and you like, man, I don't know if I should include spoilers. It came out in 2015. That was what, 10 years ago. I feel like even with the spoilers, it's still, spoilers don't do justice. You actually need to read the book. I really liked it. I know some people don't like this book. They've read it, they didn't like it. They thought the author was doing too much, he was talking too much. There's a lot going on. I thought it was nice. It was very descriptive. Yeah, there were definitely parts which, if she didn't include in the book would have been fine. But I liked that. It made it very candid, it made it very raw. And I think that's what she was going for. I don't know what she was going for. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what she was going for with how everything panned out. But it felt very raw, it felt very vivid. It was very vivid, it was very real. And the characters became very real because of how much she was talking. I remember there was a scene which I don't even remember, but it was about law, right? Because Jude is a lawyer, and she just goes on and on about really technical stuff. And I mean, if she didn't put all that in there, it would have been fine. You could have still gone on with the book because there isn't necessarily, actually, let me look it up. To me, I didn't think there was like a what's close. It was really just the lives of the four main characters, mostly Jude, and you know all that. Hang on, maybe there is a plot. Maybe I just don't. Maybe I just yeah yeah. So a little life enters on the intertwined lives of four male friends Jude, William, Malcolm, GB, as they navigate their professional and personal lives, particularly focusing on Jude's struggle with the consequences of his troubled past. When you see troubled there, it's an understatement. It wasn't troubled, it was traumatic. And it was so much. There was a point where I had to put the book down because I was like, "Stop! This is one person. Can he not catch a break? Like, this is one person." And it just makes me wonder why would you go such lengths to create a character, make him go through all that, and he doesn't come up to it. She just killed him. she I was like, okay. I mean, when you read the book and you look at the character of Jude, and then you look at his response because there's so much happening with Jude. There's so much happening with Jude. Oh my god, so much is going on with him. And then you get to the end, and he does what he does, and then you're like, oh well, I can see why. Like definitely, there's reason, but it's like, is that what the author wanted you to think? Like, yes, this is how it should have ended for him. Because no, I mean, I haven't been through half of what he's been through, but he had, it's just sad. It was just sad, and it was just sad. Like I'm looking back. I'm trying to remember because I read it a while ago. I'm trying to remember. It was just sad. It was like, damn. Would I recommend? Maybe not to everyone. I don't know. If you want to give it a shot, you can. Just that there's a lot of grief. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of times you're going to read this book and just be like, maybe I should put it down for some time. Which you should. If you get to that point, I think you should just put the book down and pick it back up when you're ready because so much happens. But I want to read something. I want to read one of the things that I annotated. I didn't even do much in this book. because I was really just, I think I was very into the book and I never had a pen with me. I didn't have a pen with me most of the time I was reading this book. But there were lots of things I read um, that really struck me. No, struck isn't the word. I really held on to. But I didn't annotate it. In my head, I was like, oh, I remember 800 or something pages. I remember it. Let me see. I did do some annotations. It's just not many. I'm trying to find some. Oh yes. There's a whole part where Willem, I don't know if this was no. So this chapter is the happy years. So Willem is alive. It's the happy years. Yeah, Willem also dies. She was so evil for doing that. Like she killed him off and it was the most. They died in a car crash.
The car crash in which should have happened?
It was such a freak accident. And it's like hey, I don't know. But there was a whole except where Willem was talking to Jude. I think I cried. Yeah, I did. I cried here. Oh. Uh-huh. Okay, obviously this won't make any sense if you haven't read it. Because I've just picked it from the whole section. But then it's a paragraph, so but in the nighttime he is too terrified. He is too lost to recognize this. This is about Jude. His panic is too real, too consuming. And who are you? He asks, looking at the man who is holding him, who is describing someone he doesn't recognize. This is Willem describing Jude. Because Jude, okay, backstory, because just reading it doesn't make any sense. Jude was getting these nightmares because he's been through hell and he has come out. And Jude and Willem were together at this point. When Jude is having like his nightmares and his attacks and stuff, Willem basically tries to talk him through it. So Jude is a very accomplished person. Outside of his trauma, you wouldn't know he's been through what he's been through unless he told you. I mean, yeah, unless he told you. And so Willem would try to just remind Jude of who he is essentially. And this is about Jude. I don't know if I'm struggling to get this out. But in the night, so I'm reading it again. But in the nighttime, he's too terrified. He's too lost to recognize this. His panic is too real, too consuming. And who are you? He asks, looking at the man who's holding him, who's describing someone he doesn't recognize. Someone who seems to have so much. Someone who seems like such an enviable, beloved person. Who are you? The man has an answer to this question as well. I'm Willem Ragnar. For some reason, I will be struggling to mention his name. I'm Willem Ragnarsson, he says, and I will never let you go. And that did a lot. Like that hurt because I actually did cry. I did cry at the time I read this. So there was another.
Getting lifted.
I have so many sad. Yes. So Mr. Evan is Malcolm's dad. I feel like crying. Mr. Evan is Malcolm's dad. Malcolm is one of the characters. Malcolm is one of Jude's friends. So there are four main characters: Malcolm, Jude, JB, and Willem. They're friends, and they all have their own lives. The main character is Jude, but then the author, she brings in the lives of the others, and that's why I like it. It was very real. It was like looking at the lives of real people, but more in depth because obviously it's a book and she's writing about them. Malcolm is better off than the rest of them in terms of like family and wealth. But Malcolm and his parents, I don't know if it was both of his parents or just his dad, their relationship is kind of strained. And I think it's one of those things where Malcolm's dad just expects a lot from Malcolm because he's his son and he has all these things at his disposal. And Malcolm does do well for himself in the end. Yeah, like as an adult, he does do pretty good for himself. But then I think after Malcolm passes, because Malcolm also passes, and you see what I mean. The author never tried. We actually never tried. Because why are we killing all these? Why are we killing all the killers? What's up? Like, what is up? What was I really want to know what was going through her head when she did that. Why would you do that? So Mr. Irvin was talking to Jude. I wrote up there, I love Malcolm so much because Malcolm was actually, he was a sweetie. He was a sweetie. He was a girl. I think this was a flashback. Hang on.
Fire truck 어디 봐 Mr. Farmer on the floor 지금아 열기를 식혀줘
I didn't even know I'm crying. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad. Malcolm became an architect. I don't even know why I'm acting like I can't look this up. Malcolm became an architect or something of the sort. Malcolm was an architect, right? I don't, that was unserious. Well, that was an unserious search. I searched Malcolm was an architect, like they're supposed to know which Malcolm I'm talking about. And they pulled up an actual architect. Yeah. So Malcolm was an architect, right? And he could be quite aloof. Like sometimes he would do very silly things, like it's like, but he was very observant. This is a flashback. So Jude has a problem with his legs, which we learn about when we have the flashbacks to his childhood. Another tragic event. It's a lifelong thing. So he has a wheelchair, he has chronic pain, great stuff. Let me just read it and then I'll tell you what was going on. It's a paragraph. He stopped. What he wanted to say, or what he didn't think he could get through, was that he had overheard Malcolm say as William was complaining about hefting the bookcase back into place, and he was in the bathroom gathering the brushes and paints from beneath the sink. If I had left it like it was, he could have tripped against it and fallen over. Malcolm had whispered, "Would you want that?" "No," William had said after a pause, sounding ashamed. "No, of course not. You're right, Mom." Malcolm, he realized, had been the first among them to recognize he was disabled. Malcolm had known this even before he did. He had always been conscious of it, but he had never made him feel self-conscious. Malcolm had sought only to make his life easier, and he had once resented him for this. I don't care what anyone says, it was actually really good. I mean, no, it's valid. What are you talking about? It's valid. So I think they were remembering Malcolm because Malcolm has passed here, I believe. I'm so sad. I forgot how much that hit to read. Because Malcolm's character, he was one of those characters where he has flaws, but they're more childish than they are. Like, this guy has a problem. JB was one of the problems. He had real problems. He was funny for me, but he was not okay. But yeah, looking back, actually, everyone should read this. I would recommend this to boys, okay? Because of the friendship dynamics. I'm not a boy, so I don't know how boy friendships work. But I feel like there's this narrative that male friendships tend to be quite shallow. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if it's because of how we perceive them, like as women. But this was a good take on male friendships. I think it was a very solid one. There are other things I can complain about, but for the male friendship aspect, the sticking out, being there for one another, having each other's backs, having one another's backs, a great commentary on male friendship. I'm reading this again, and I'll probably have more solid annotations. But Little Life was good. Actually, I think everyone should read it. The comments from Daily Express extraordinary, Independent says astonishing, The Observer says devastating, and San Francisco Chronicle says a masterwork. So that's a Little Life. I don't really care to read books. How I felt, I like this book. I really like this book. It's a favorite of mine, despite the many things that can be said about why the author made some of the choices she did. But that's aside, the book is pretty good.
My little pony, my little pony.
That's crazy because I'm just reading bits and pieces. Crying. Oh, I'm sad.
Bruh. Getting lifted.
I don't remember who Lucian is. Who's that? Oh my gosh! This is so funny. Another cool thing is how everyone died, and yeah, like all the four died, and Harold was still alive. That was just ridiculous. That was rude. That was rude. That was good. Oh. Wow. You think I was reading this for the first time? Harold loved Jude so much. You all knew about the adoption. I said it, but if you didn't know about the adoption, you would never guess that Harold adopted Jude. That's confusing. Okay. Because it's very long. The characters were developed very well. I actually think about Harold. I wouldn't say often, but when I remember the book, I think about Harold and I get sad because Harold outlives all the boys, and to him they are boys because he met them when they were college students and he watched them grow up. One of those books you read and they kind of, I wouldn't say they alter your life, but they do alter the way you think.
Bruh.
At least it did for me. Is it worth the read? Yeah, I think life itself, happens all the time. Maybe don't read it when you're in a dark place. Yeah, probably don't do that. But you can give it a try. I don't think it's something you'd regret. But yes, that's a little life in all its glory.
So hey, I didn't film an outro for this. I'm so sorry. Thanks for seeing the video through. They'll love you down. Till next time, every pony. Love ya.